is the Stifling Dark. And I will preface by saying that this is a review copy that, why am I blanking on the name? It's Cerberus something or other, the developer, from Sophisticated Cerberus Games.
Aha!
Sophisticated Cerberus Games. So this is a review copy of a game that just finished its Kickstarter campaign. You can still late pledge for it. Link's in the chat right now. And I want to preface everything by saying that I don't know how final any of these components are. I know the rule book is definitely finished.
Yeah. That's 100%.
100%.
Send that to market.
Look at that.
Yeah.
It doesn't back.
Yeah.
It doesn't come in the box.
The
You got to
finish on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got 2 staples? They reached that stretch goal? Damn, okay.
So I don't know how polished all of these components are. Everything looks pretty good aside from the rule book. And I know that this is not everything that they had planned for the game, because there's a lot of mention of other adversaries you can face off against, other maps you can play on.
Ooh.
I don't know if those are going to be expansions or if they were just stretch goals, because I'm totally prepared for this show, and I definitely looked at the Kickstarter page before preparing for today.
As one would do.
Yeah. This is a one versus many hidden movement game along the lines of one that we've played on this show a couple times called Letters from Whitechapel, where one person is the bad guy and everybody else is against the bad guy. You guys are all paranormal investigators that have come to this dark and spooky lumberyard looking for evidence to prove the existence of the Butcher of Manchac Swamp so that you can do something with that evidence.
What we're going to do? They're going to give it to the cops?
I'm going to start a podcast.
Selling it?
Once-
Ooh, yeah, let's start a podcast.
Once you have all the evidence, you'll have, I think, 3 different final endgame objectives to choose from. We'll cover those when we get to
Interesting.
them. If we get to them.
I've learned anything.
One of them is you can try to kill the Butcher,
Oh, hell yeah.
but you can also just try to get the hell away, because he's trying to kill you.
Hell
Oh,
no.
screw that.
How
So-
many pieces of evidence?
5.
5.
There are 5 pieces of evidence, and I believe I can go ahead and tell you this, because this is just in the booklet of information for where everything starts. There is 1 piece of evidence in every building on the board.
Oh.
There's a
Except
lot.
this one. That's
Okay.
not. That's just a little shack.
So these main 5.
The main 5 buildings each have a piece of evidence, and I was instructed not to place it on a space with an icon already on it.
Got it.
There's also items hidden on the board.
Where'd you hide them?
Those had to be placed within 2 spaces of an adversary space. Don't look at my Adversary spaces are the ones with the red skull on them.
Within how many spaces
Within
of
2
them?
spaces of
Okay.
those, there will be, well, not necessarily every one of them. All 10 of the
They
items.
would have to be the
All 10 of the items that I got to place were placed within 2 spaces of adversary
Gotcha.
spaces. Items will help you, I believe, across the board. I don't know. I didn't look at what all those items are.
Okay.
I don't know what they're gonna do.
That's probably best for
But
you.
supposedly they're going to help you.
Cool.
The reason that you are looking
down all of them
on
there,
this
Jason.
dark and stormy night in this abandoned lumberyard is because the Butcher of Manchac Swamp, legend has it, only appears every 10 years.
What?
And when
That's
he
a
does,
coincidence.
he murders someone. He's like the world's slowest serial killer.
Right?
1 kill every 10 years and then
Damn.
disappears.
Is he
Into
really
the
that bad,
shadows.
though, in the grand scheme of things?
I mean, I guess it depends on who he's been killing. But,
That's true. That's true.
Anyway, so you guys have come to try and collect that evidence. There's green spaces right here, 1 for each of yous. You can start in any one of them. That's where you're coming in. Well, first off, I should explain the concept of light, because that's a big mechanic in this. Yes, that's a flashlight. Very good, Dustin.
It's
is
both
that all
an
he's talking
energy
about?
and an element. It's
So-
a photon. But
Oh.
Most of the spaces on the board have a solid border. That indicates a dim space. It's not totally pitch black, but you're still going to have a hard time seeing. Movement through these spaces is normal. It costs you 1 movement to get through a dim space.
Oh,
If it's got a dotted line, that's pitch black.
oh.
Those, you can't see a damn thing, and they take double the movement to get through. These spaces can be modified to become bright. There's various ways to do
Light
that,
switches
but the
and
primary way to do it will be with your flashlights. Your flashlight, you will put on the board, like directly in front of your mini, and then light up anything in line of sight And any space that's touched within line of sight by your flashlight will be bright. Anything that's in those spaces on my little hidden version of the board will then become visible to you.
Oh.
And then you'll know it's there. So items, evidence tokens, that kind of stuff. Maybe even the butcher himself.
Are you gonna put stuff on the board when we flash it?
Yeah,
Or,
when
okay.
when
Lock
something
it
is
in?
revealed, it'll go to the main board.
Does it stay on there then once it's been revealed, or like after your turn, does it go back to your main board?
Everything except the butcher, because the butcher can then go hide in the
Right.
shadows.
Okay,
again.
but items and stuff.
Yeah,
are like.
it's anything that doesn't move.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make
it's
sure.
gonna
I
stay.
didn't know if we had to like memorize what was where.
But that's the core framework of
Okay, I like it.
like being able to see stuff. The structure of the game is going to be the investigator phase, then adversary phase, and then reset, and we keep going. You got 17 turns. Once you get to that, you lose. Butcher kills you all
I don't like it.
because you took too long. You're also going to be dealing with storm cards throughout the course of the game. Yeah, there's weather that's going to change things.
That's rude.
But on the investigator phase, at the start of it, you will all collectively decide what your turn order is going to be for the round. You have to decide the full turn order before anybody starts doing anything.
Oh.
Once you figure that out, whoever's taking the first turn takes their turn. On your turn, you've all got an investigator actions reference card, I believe.
Yep.
That'll help, I'm sure. But you can take any number of actions on your turn. There's no limit.
Well, interact are unlimited, but you can move
You
once.
can move once.
And then if you don't like how far you move, you can sprint to move further.
Correct. When you're moving, you move up to your speed that is indicated by everybody should be starting with a speed of 4. Whatever your speed is, because it can increase or decrease throughout the course of the game, that's how many spaces you can move. Obviously, movement is going to be along connected lines to adjacent spaces. You can stop in the middle of your movement to take other actions and then finish your movement for the turn. So movement can be interrupted in the
Okay.
middle of your turn.
Interesting.
But you'll only get to do the move action once per turn. Unless you do a sprint action, which will cost you 1 stamina that's on your player board. Stamina, that lung token right there on Clara Dunkley's card. If you spend a stamina, you move the lung token 1 to the right, and then you'll get to roll one of these sprint dice,
Okay.
and then however many feet that you get on that die, that's how many extra spaces you get to move from sprinting. Then the interact actions are limitless according to what is available to you. There's a ton of those. You can interact with...
You can take items, drop items,
Yeah.
lock, unlock, interact with an interaction point, use an item or an evidence card, or trade items with adjacent investigators.
So if evidence tokens or item tokens become visible on the board and you're on a space with one of those, you can pick them up.
cool.
You can trade them with anybody who's next to you. You can always, by the way, move through fellow investigators. You can move through the adversary. Yeah, I mean, most of the time you're not going to know where he is anyway.
Right.
You cannot
Right.
end. Don't look at my You cannot end your movement on a space with another investigator.
Makes sense.
These spaces, I don't know
Computer
that
hack-
Those are
hacking.
those are that is a special action you can take if you land on this space.
Those are involved actions.
Yes,
I don't know
anything
what-
that's got an ellipsis on it is an involved action. That means you have to end your turn with taking that action.
and you can't.
You can take any number of actions up until that point, but
That's
you
the
can't.
last action
That's
you
the
gotta
last. That's the last thing you do if it's got an ellipsis.
and you may not place a flashlight, regain stamina.
Yeah, you don't get to do
or regain
anything
it.
else after you take an involved action. Computers, though, the interact action you can take on those is to turn on all the lights in any one building of your choice. At any computer, you can say, I want to turn on the lights in this building. Then anything that's in this building becomes visible.
Cool.
That will only last until the end of that round. Then the lights go out and they can't be turned back on again for that building. They become flickering lights at that point. The doors, if you are adjacent to a door, you can take an interact action to lock that door. Put a little locked door token on it. If a door is closed like that, it blocks line of sight. You guys can always unlock doors for a free action. Lock or unlock for a free action. The adversary cannot unlock doors.
Oh.
If the door's locked, the adversary's got to break it down.
Yeah, sure.
It takes time. If a door is damaged, you guys can choose to open it, but doing so will destroy it.
Gotcha.
Once a door is destroyed, it obviously can't be closed again, and it no longer blocks line of sight or any sort of movement.
Gotcha.
These little things are windows. They do not block line of sight. They're windows. But none of these windows are openable. They're just glass. You can travel through them, but to do so means you're breaking glass. If you keep moving, like let's say you're here and you want to move through this window, if you move through it and keep going, any number, like beyond that space, any number of spaces, you're going to take 1 wound from the broken glass.
Ow.
Wounds are these cards. Here, you can take wounds in either face down or face up form. If you're taking a wound from a window, it'll be face down. That means that's just a counter towards your death. 4 wounds, you're dead. Anybody dies, you guys lose. I win.
That sucks.
If you take a wound face up, there's going to be text on the card that will be bad for you as well.
So why would I take it face up?
There are going to be times when you take a wound, it'll say there's a little icon that'll show up that's like a blood, and it'll either have an arrow that points up or down.
Oh.
If it's up, you got to take the wound face up.
Gotcha.
If it's down, it's face down. And I'll be dealing wounds to you too,
No.
because I'm trying to murder you.
Please
No, I don't
don't.
like that. Don't do
That
that.
seems rude.
If you want to carefully move your way through a window, you can stop immediately on the other side, and instead of taking damage, it just costs you a stamina. Although, I will note that the stamina, if you run yourself too ragged, those last 2 spaces cause wounds. So,
Lame.
be careful. Then, after you're done taking all of your actions, assuming you didn't end with an involved action, because that ends your turn, you then have the option to spend 1 flashlight charge on your little flashlight meter on your card to turn on your flashlight, which you'll line up however you want, flush with your standee. That'll light up all those spaces, as long as it's within line of sight. Anything that's got a solid white line around it is blocking line of sight. So if you're here and you're shining a light this way, you're not seeing much. It also lights up the space you're standing on, your flashlight. If you end your turn without sprinting, you will regain 1 stamina. If you end your turn without turning on your flashlight, you'll gain 1 flashlight charge.
Oh, cool.
So there's a way to recharge those meters just by not doing them.
Alright.
So let's say I light this up.
Yeah.
What, this space right here, is this lit up
Yes.
or not?
Yes.
Okay. as
Line
long
of
as it's-
sight is determined. We got some straight edges that we can check stuff with. But line of sight is determined with any point on a space to any point on another space.
The fact that it's not completely covering it
Doesn't
is
doesn't
okay.
matter.
Okay.
Still within line of sight of that space. So like this one, L7 is within line of sight of L13. Even though there's like it's partially obstructed, as long as there's at least 1 point within that space that's visible within a straight line, you're good. I think that's the gist.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of questions that'll come up.
I
as
think
we
we're
play
good.
this, but
Major abilities? Did you mention?
major ability. So everybody's got a major ability and a minor ability. You should have a major ability token. In order to take your major ability, you discard your major ability token.
Okay.
You can only hold 1 major ability token at a time. But there are ways, I don't know what they are, there are ways to get more major ability tokens. Minor abilities, there's no limit to, beyond whatever the limitations of that ability are. Theoretically, you could use those multiple times within the same turn.
Gotcha.
Even. Let's go around the table and you guys can talk about who you are and what you can do.
I'm Clara Dunkley. I can sweep when I use the flashlight, which means I can check, see if the adversary is there, and then move it again. So I can basically move this.
Oh,
twice.
you get to turn your yeah.
Oh, so yeah, you pick a
You light up
direction,
multiple.
I-
and then
And I go,
if
it-
the adversary's not there, you can pick a different direction.
I think
That's
I can,
nice.
yeah.
That's
Major ability, choose an investigator, including myself. If the adversary is within 2 spaces of that investigator, they are revealed. I'm gonna find you.
Pretty good.
How about Lucien?
I am, it's Chi. Her minor ability is that after taking, what do you call this little icon there?
After taking an involved action,
Involved
one that you
action.
got to concentrate on and end your turn with.
After I take an involved action, I can place a flashlight and move up to 4 spaces.
Or move up to 4 spaces.
Mm.
So you actually get to end after an involved action
Nice.
doing something.
That's good.
Pretty good. And then her major ability is she chooses 2 spaces anywhere on the board. If the adversary is on or adjacent to those spaces, they must reveal themselves.
Ooh,
Okay.
Okay.
How about Dustin?
Okay, so I'm Brielle Easton. My minor ability is I start with 6 can tokens, and I can place a can token within 3 spaces of myself. When the adversary moves onto a can token, they have to flip it to the ear side.
Oh,
So I
so
make
you'll
little
know.
sound
Yeah.
traps.
Oh, that's something I didn't mention. If the adversary moves through a window, he makes noise there.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I'll drop a noise token on a window if I
Gotcha.
move through it, so you'll know
Cool.
that I've been there.
Then my major ability is I may flip up to a total of 2 wound face up cards face down on myself or an adjacent investigator. So I can just, if you got some like nasty wound, I can take that away and make it a normal wound.
And then that also says you can flip
I
one.
can flip one face up wound face down between 2 different investigators or flip them both on one investigator.
Oh, okay. So the 2 that you get to heal, you can do on one person or split
Oh,
between
okay,
2
gotcha,
people.
gotcha.
There are also conditions and mitigation factors that'll come up. Conditions are going to be cards that, like, just as an example, Spine Chill. You are in the Butcher's Gaze. If he regains line of sight on his next activation, he'll gain a stock. Those are condition cards. There's mitigation cards that may give you a way to get rid of a wound or a condition that'll give you, like, some sort of objective that has to be fulfilled in order to get rid of the thing that they affect.
Cool.
Eric.
Yo, I'm playing Amelia Webb. Her minor ability is I may treat up to 3 pitch black spaces as dim when I move or sprint into them. So I can go through the darkness without movement penalty.
Without having to spend double movement.
And
That's handy.
my major ability is I place this token in an adjacent space, and then I may teleport from any space back to that token.
Move that token at the end of your next activation. So
Yeah.
you can't just leave it there all game and then teleport back to it later. It's just for the next turn, basically. I don't know how much about my shit you guys are supposed to know. You'll kind of figure it out as we go, I think.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for hanging out. If you want to spend more time with us, do us a favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and most importantly, head on over to twitch.tv/BNB Tabletop and give us a follow there. We play board games live every Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a show we call The Board and Barrel. And we like to keep things interactive. You guys can influence what happens throughout the course of a game with our Buff and Nerf house rules. You can also make predictions on how things are going to pan out, play virtual bingo for a chance to win a free board game of your own, and heckle us and stuff from the chat. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you Sunday night.